Hello, my name is Lars Klüver. I'm the director of the Danish Board of Technology. I've been working with technology assessment for more than 30 years. And as part of that work, I've been working with inclusion of stakeholders, citizens, and politicians on different topics about society and technology, our big challenges. Yeah, anything where science, technology, society is in play. That's mostly everything, isn't it? Well, that's what I've been working with, everything. My presentation will mainly touch on three of the questions that have been put in the pre-work to this webinar. The one about if democracy can provide decision mechanisms that work under the extreme stress of crisis. Another one about if we can be innovative and competitive without making divisions in society and being exclusive. And the last one, who has the voice when it comes to planning our future together? Is it the experts, politicians, or is it only those who know the lobbying game? And these kind of questions. Let me first say that from a democratic point, I think we should be able to agree that there's an unhealthy tendency to increase the closeness of governance and the hierarchical management in crisis situations. I think we can see that in the financial crisis we had, and the Corona crisis. I think we can see that many times when we see a crisis, and there are possible reasons that I think are convincing in a way. Politicians feel that this is exactly the situation that calls for their leadership. This is when they should become characters in the public. They should begin to really do their job. Also, a good reason is this is effective. You can take fast decisions. You can have clear implementation hierarchies. And I think these reasons from a political point of view and also from a broader societal, they are reasonable, at least in the first phases of a crisis. It's another thing if we look at the longer management of a crisis, the phases where we have to look into mobilization of society to solve the situation we're in. We have to get used to a new normal, and we have to discuss what the new normal should be and how we can invent it. This is a phase where there has to be ownership to decisions. There has to be fairness about the cleanup after the crisis. And there has to also to be mobilization to make people join together, be co-creative, be innovative to develop our new normal together. The bad news is that this inclusive and participatory way of managing crisis is really not a common practice in our democracies. Unfortunately, I think we see that power continues playing power also after the acute phase of crisis. The good news are of at least two kinds. I think we can see that there is a tendency towards increased participation also in our discussion of these kind of difficult things. We see it in the EU. They are opening up. EU is open up for public discussion of the future of EU. We see that the OECD are beginning to talk about participation as part of good democratic Western practices. They just made a new report called Innovation, Citizen Participation, and New Democratic Institution Catching the Deliberative Wave. I mean, that's a signal from OECD, which is new and very positive. And the other good news is that the praxis of participatory policymaking is a quite mature and ready for use practice. I think we have what we call situation fitted method choice. We have a lot of methods already tested out. They work. We know when they work, what they can do, what are their specificities, what are they specifically good at, each of them, so we can select methods for specific situations. And we have a very wide toolbox for methods for participatory governance and participatory policy making. So I think we are methodological, we are very far. And I would even say that now, after the Corona crisis, we can see that online practices are developing. We can have different forms of participatory exercises actually working quite well in the online domain. So basically, I think the big question is, what can we do to move faster so that we develop these parts of our democracy with a higher pace, basically. I think it's about making ourselves ready. I think it's about beginning to think of which structures we can set up. Just to give some examples that comes from a project we were involved in, the asset projects, in which exactly pandemics and epidemics, crisis and participation were discussed. One of the things we came up in that project is, why is it we don't have panels of stakeholders and citizens that are already ready? They know enough about these kind of crises already. They are trained, we have them ready. And then when we come into the next crisis, we can take them in, these prepared citizens and prepared stakeholders, and discuss with them also in the acute phase what to do and how to involve, how to be open, how to get the best out of society in this situation. And I also think we could have clear policies for what openness should be under a crisis. How is it we make transparency? How is it we listen to those who also could contribute? And finally, I think that we could also have policies for the later phase, because the later phase of a crisis is actually where it's obvious that society could contribute a lot. So have clear policies, have institutions in place that can manage these phases and begin to use them. I think it's possible, and I think this can and should be implemented. Thank you for inviting me for this. It has been a fun presentation to make, because we're in it now, and I think we're in a good situation to discuss this exactly now. Thank you.